Tonight, I'm going to show you 3 ways to take caramel popcorn somewhere unexpected. Stick around. Greetings, my confectionery compadres, and welcome to Randy Makes Candy, where I help you make tasty treats that people love to eat. Do we actually need a National Caramel Popcorn Day? No, we do not. Am I glad that we do? Yes, 100%. Here's what I love about caramel popcorn. It's a platform. Kind of like fudge or truffles. Once you understand the basic techniques, you can take in almost any direction you want. Let me show you what I mean using 3 recipes from the RMC archive. We're going to start with a complete demo of how to make chocolate popcorn, because that'll show you exactly how the technique works. Then we'll make cinnamon roll caramel corn and caramel apple cracker jacks. For those, I'll just show you the steps that makes each one different, because by then you'll already know the basics. The full recipe for each of these is down in the description. Okay, let's make some caramel corn. For the chocolate popcorn, I used 10 cups of popped popcorn, about 1 microwavable bag, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter, 1/2 cup of light corn syrup, 1/2 tablespoon of salt, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I also used a baking sheet lined with foil, a large saucepan, a spatula, a large mixing bowl, and a thermometer. Set your oven to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, then pop the popcorn in the microwave and place it in the mixing bowl. Be careful not to include any unpopped kernels. Set the popcorn aside. In a large saucepan over medium heat, melt the butter. Add the sugar, corn syrup, salt, and cocoa powder and stir until the dry ingredients have dissolved. Continue stirring until the mixture comes to a boil. Add a thermometer and boil without stirring until the mixture reaches 250 degrees Fahrenheit, adjusted for altitude. Remove the pan from the heat and stir in the baking soda. Pour the mixture over the popcorn and gently fold until it's evenly coated. Spread the coated popcorn on the lined baking sheet. Bake for 10 minutes, then pour the popcorn back into the bowl and give it a mix. Repeat the bake and mix steps 2 more times for a total of 30 minutes in the oven. That's the technique for just about any caramel corn. Bring the coating to the right temperature, fold it over your popcorn, bake it low and slow. Now, let me show you where things get interesting. For the cinnamon roll caramel corn, the popcorn and the baking process are exactly the same. What changes is the coating and what you do to it after it comes out of the oven. For this recipe, I used 10 cups of popped popcorn, 1 cup of unsalted butter, 2 cups of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of corn syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. For the orange icing drizzle, I used 1 cup of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of milk, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of orange extract. The cinnamon goes right into the saucepan with the sugar, butter, and corn syrup. Cook it the same way, bring it to a boil, reach 250 degrees Fahrenheit, pull it off the heat, stir in the vanilla and baking soda, coat the popcorn, and bake it in the same way. But here's where this one becomes a real cinnamon roll. Well, not a real cinnamon roll, but you know what I mean. Once the popcorn is out of the oven and completely cool, whisk together the powdered sugar, milk, and extracts. Drizzle it over the popcorn, then leave it at room temperature for 15 to 20 minutes for the icing to harden. That's your cinnamon roll. Caramel base, cinnamon built into the coating, and that orange icing on top that ties the whole thing together. This one has 2 steps that make it completely its own thing. Everything else, the baking, the folding, the cooling, same as before. For this recipe, I used 10 cups of popped popcorn, 1 cup of unsalted dry roasted peanuts, 1 1/4 cups of dark brown sugar, 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1/4 cup of dark corn syrup, 1 1/4 cups of apple cider, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. This one has peanuts because we're going for a Cracker Jacks vibe. But the real difference is a step that makes this taste like a caramel apple: reducing the cider. Pour 1/4 cup of cider into a small saucepan and note the level of liquid. Add the rest of the cider and boil it down until you're back to that first level. You're concentrating the apple flavor so it can hold its own against the caramel. Now build your caramel the same way as before. Brown sugar, butter, corn syrup, salt, and the boiled cider into the pan. Bring it to 250 degrees. Then right before you pour it, stir in the citric acid. That's your tart finish. Citric acid is the difference between caramel corn that tastes vaguely apple-ish and one that actually bites back a little. Coat it and bake it as usual and cool it completely. And that's it. 3 recipes, 1 technique, 3 completely different places to land. And if you haven't tried all 3 of these, you really oughta. For this recipe, I used 1 1/4 cups of apple cider, 10 cups, nope,